Jason, all right. Well, let's start with the dispute in America itself. Now, are the hardline Republicans really opposed to supporting Ukraine's war effort, or is it more likely that they're using this as leverage to get some of their own projects through, such as asylum restrictions and border security in America?
It's most certainly leverage. Let's be frank. There's a very, very, very low support in the United States for Russia or for Vladimir Putin. Actually, it's about 7% of people have a favorable opinion of Russia. So there's nothing to worry about there. When it comes to Ukraine, I don't think anybody, even if they don't love Ukraine, they're not really caught up in the whole fever of that. They will recognize that Ukraine is something that is a country that is putting a stop to Putin's aggression, which would threaten NATO and then further destabilize the region. So there's a lot of people that understand that, but at the same time, they're using this. They realize that it's urgent. They realize this deadline that Ukraine is facing, the lack of weaponry that it has, is something that allows it to have the chance to negotiate something more with the Democrats. In this case, it's border security, a top issue for Republicans. 58% of Republicans listed as the most or the second most important issue for them in these elections. So if Republicans are able to deliver on this before the 2024 elections, where all the members of Congress will be up for election, plus 33% of the Senate, plus obviously the president and the vice president, this could be something that is really instrumental for the Republicans.
So
to be able
if
to
this,
have a better
sorry to cut you off, but if this would settle the issue, why are the Democrats not letting this through? Why do they oppose asylum reform and stricter border security so much?
There's a lot of reasons. One is that they think that their base would find it to be offensive. They find it to be discriminatory in nature. They also think that it's something that is, I think in the long term, hurtful to what they are trying to seek, which is, they have historically gotten a lot of the votes of people who did enter the U.S. illegally that eventually became naturalized citizens. And I think there is an element of that, to be frank. All that being said, though, I think that the Democratic Party will, in the end, be willing to play ball. There will be reforms that they demand as well, such as the fact that it shouldn't take so long to process paperwork. Right now, you can wait for your asylum application for 5, 6, 7 years, which is sort of absurd. So I think that is a reasonable compromise that we expedite the processes at the same time that we do crack down on the border.
All right. So now let's quickly look at Ukraine's projected budget for 2024. Now, we see that their expenditures will be around $92.6 billion, which means that their planned income is about $48.9. So they got a budget shortfall of about $43 billion. Now, they were hoping, of course, on some money from the EU to come in, about $50 billion, which would cover that shortfall. But now there's issues with that, and still they're waiting for the U.S. Now, what other sources of funding can they find? Do you think that the IMF or World Bank will be able to give it at least a credit line?
Well, that's a good question. So, and I actually, at this point, I think it's sort of debatable. I'm not quite sure what is going to happen. There is a lot of concern. I will say that I'm back here in Kyiv now. I was just in Washington for actually 2 months, working on specifically these matters. And in Washington, it started much more optimistic than how it is today. Here in Kyiv, there is also a noted shift. The local population does recognize that there is something afoot that is perhaps not favorable to their country. And it's something that I think we're going to probably have a solution to, or an answer about what's going to happen next, before New Year's for sure, but probably next week already, just because we're getting so close to the holidays.
That's right. Well, final question. Do you think that this could be resolved before the holidays? What's the likelihood?
So I think that there will be serious solutions that they put out. There will be options that are considered. I do not think there will be a final vote in the U.S. Congress and Senate to decide this, nor do I think that Europe is going to be able to get this together.
So we're looking at January, yeah?
We're looking at January, which is no, this is a serious problem. Ukraine is lacking the weaponry it needs to defend itself, and this could seriously set back the war effort.
That's right. Well, let's hope something is done as soon as possible. Jason, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks very much for joining us. Take care.
See you.